Hello, my name is Fred today, and I'm here to read this book, the Daily Reflections book, for September 7th, 2025. Maybe you noticed I did get my first video posted yesterday, except for I wasn't able to get the end screen so people have a place to subscribe. Anyhow, here's what's going on today. September 6th, Daily Reflection. That was yesterday. Today, September 7th, our side of the street. We are then to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing worthwhile can be accomplished until we do so, never trying to tell him what he should do. His faults are not discussed. We stick to our own. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 77 through 78. I made amends to my dad soon after I quit drinking. The words fell on deaf ears since I had blamed him for my troubles. Several months later, I made amends to my dad again. This time I wrote a letter in which I did not blame him nor mention his faults. It worked, and at last I understood. My side of the street is all that I'm responsible for, and, thanks to God and AA, it's clean for today. Let me read step 9 for us so we have a beginning understanding of what's going on here. The 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous here in the back of this book, page 375. Step 9 says, probably can't read that, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Here's a brief note on the wording in this step. I just learned it recently. Well, wait, I just heard this explanation recently, so I don't know if I've learned it yet, but it says, made direct amends to such people wherever possible. Why do you suppose it was wherever rather than whenever? Or maybe some other word. It's what I was told or what I found. It's, if you said whenever, that would imply, rather, I guess, that you would just perhaps run willy-nilly into a situation and start blurting out all these things that you want to make an amend about with it, and that would ignore the kind of the second half of this step where it says made direct amends to such people wherever possible, comma, pause, wait, the second part of the step, and except EXCEPT, except when to do so would injure them or others. So if it said to make these amends whenever possible, that might imply that we're not using this exception to err on the side of safety and thus go running willy-nilly into a situation causing more harm perhaps, and we don't want to cause more harm. So it's wherever possible that perhaps there's a restraining order against you, perhaps all kinds of different perhapses that a lot of time. Here's another thing, people weren't even aware that we caused them harm. Okay, I don't know how can I launch into that from today's reading. Let's talk about today's reading, and then we'll see where that takes us. And we'll have about 18 minutes here, I think. Our Side of the Street. Here's another helpful book that I may not get into today, but I will. I do plan on reading the Little Red Book because, well, I mean, I've read it many times. I don't have it memorized. And even if I did think I had it memorized, or if I thought I had it memorized, it our memories, my memory in particular, plays tricks on me. It changes over time. It's even in short gaps of time. You know, something I said, something I'm saying today. Way later in the day, I may try and recall that information, and it won't be the same. Well, it might be the same, but it wouldn't be exact. So our memories, you know, and then I don't know if it's for everybody, but longer term memories, they get fooled with, messed with, changed around, affected by, colored, shadowed, tinted by different emotional states and new information all the time, and we try and recall something from 10 years ago. Number one, we were a very different organism 10 years ago than we are today. Biologically, physiologically, psychologically, there's a lot of things going on. I think I might have some tea here. And then I'm going to read, I'll get back into reading this step here, or this today's reading. You're going to find I jump all over the place if you keep watching this. I hope not to get too far astray, and hope to provide some kind of entertainment value at least, and hopefully some educational resources here. I am a recovering, still unclear on that, alcoholic with 20 years, well, in December of this year it'll be 20 years sobriety. So we're not there yet. Got 19 years in. Where are we at here? I'm looking for the summary. Here's steps 8 and 9. They bunch them together in the Little Red Book. Wow, it's in depth also. I've done some underlining and such in here. Let me just start with this. We are trying to put our lives in order. We do this through maximum service to God and to the people about us. We believe this is the purpose of steps 8 and 9. Resentful attitudes toward others will defeat our recovery. Here, let's just stop right there, because I believe that in today's reading from the Daily Reflections book for September 7th, this guy was talking about his effort at making an amend or apology. I'm going to maybe clear that up for us today, the difference between an apology and an amend. They're very slight, and also in my understanding, I get some things sort of okay, correct, and other times not. Where are we at here? September 7th. We're going to go over this again. September comes before October in this calendar system here. September 7th, our side of the street. I wasn't paying attention to the time, so it says here, I made amends to my dad soon after I quit drinking. My words fell on deaf ears since I had blamed him for my troubles. This is something, a little bit about myself and doing step 9 the first time I did it. Like I said, let's just say I've been sober 20 years. So when do you think I did the first step? Or not the first step, step 9. 9 years in, just maybe 11 years ago. No, I did it a lot sooner than that. But this guy says here, I made amends to my dad soon after. I don't know what the strict definition of soon is. It's sooner or later, right? It wasn't later. It was soon. There's doing this step 9, making amends to others without causing more harm. Think of this. What I thought of, number one, for myself when I was doing step 9 was, am I really ready for what this other person might say to me? Like a rejection? And would that rejection cause me to start drinking again? Because drinking was my biggest, largest problem, and the one we're going to center on with today. And now a reason for making this, what did it say in the little red book? The purpose of steps 8 and 9? Put our lives in order and become of maximum service to God and others. Okay, I've made the diagnosis, determination, decision that I am an alcoholic. There's nothing I can do about that. However that came about, or was, placed within me at birth or at conception or whatever. Maybe it was an environmental thing and it just made me that way over time. I don't know. I quit trying to figure any of that out. What I do know is that when I expose myself to alcoholism or alcohol, when I come in contact with alcohol, when I drink, consume, ingest alcohol, I have what in the big book, I think it's in here, I'm not certain again because of the memory thing, this here, the Alcoholics Anonymous big book. This is a slightly lesser big and more portable version. It says that the alcoholic has an allergy to alcohol, and if you think about, or let me think about it and try and relate it to you. When I think of somebody having an allergy to something, it doesn't really pose a big problem until they become exposed to it or they have contact with this allergen. Okay, and so I'm going to run out of battery power here. We're 12 minutes in and I'm wandering away here a bit. Why you would not want to make an amend too soon? Because you might mess up and start using again. That's one big consideration. Another immediate one that comes to mind, if we make this amend and it causes more harm in the form that this other person, this other party, whatever it is, has entirely forgot about it or wasn't even aware of any harm that we caused, and now we come around and start dredging up the past, as people say, and cause new trauma, harm, and injury to this person. Whereas they were having a wonderful day and coping well with everything, and then we come over and mess it all up. This is another reason why, if we're making an amend to somebody, we need to make sure that our motivation is, for me, I was losing sleep over things, and I was able to figure out, maybe, boy, this can be a big subject, and the issue was, I don't want to disclose any names or actual circumstances, really, and I'm going to need to use a blanket thing here, a blanket apology. It was through my lying to another person that was keeping me up at night, and it was causing me harm in that way. And I knew that I really felt strongly this other person was aware of my lying to them, and I wanted to make an amend. So I didn't want to tell them I only lied to them because they lied to me first. Some kind of thing like that, tit for tat. You started it. you know, if this other person hadn't been such a problem, I wouldn't have needed to drive my car through your fence or something. I wouldn't have needed to harm you in the way I did, or those kind of things. What I'm trying to do is get my life in order, and I don't want to have this reaction to alcohol. Or rather, I don't want to use alcohol in a way that isn't suitable. Myself being allergic to alcohol, it's never suitable any longer for me to use alcohol. It causes a lot of undesired factors to arise in my life, and it doesn't fix the problem. Living this AA program is helping me live my life the way I want to, and it takes work and effort, and it's getting better. It's been 20 years. You'd think maybe something got better. Yeah, things got significantly better. Boy, anyhow, so if we start trying to make an apology to somebody, oh, here, the difference between an apology and an amend, in my mind today, because of the memory thing that I stated earlier, is that an apology might be like a oral "I'm sorry" period. It might even be "I'm sorry!" exclamation point with some more emphasis and emotion on it. More, whereas like an amend, where I just gave this little tiny example of, if you hadn't been such a jerk, I wouldn't have needed to drive my automobile through your fence. That's like a physical fence, a physical car, and me doing a physical action and changing the structure. It's like, to me, making an amend would be like to apologize, number one. Somehow, we're going to need to talk about this at a different point, but how to make this introduction. Like, I've been thinking a lot about that's just too much to get into. In the course of my recovery, I've become aware I may have harmed you. Something along those lines. Is there a chance I could try and make an amend to you for any harm I may have caused? This is another kind of way of getting into this, I don't know, mind space. And then when you're actually, the amend in this case of driving your car through a fence or somebody else's car even, would be actually repairing the fence and the car and apologizing verbally to this person that owned the fence and the car, and because it's about this making my life right, and if it happens to rub off good on you, great, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this so I can get some sleep at night. So in my lying to another person, it was keeping me up at night. I made it aware to them that